I'ma shut up. Dude was locked up, right? And he came up with $1 million idea in prison and executed while he was still in prison.
Every day I would make a protein shake. And the way I made a protein shake in prison, I'd put it in a peanut butter jar and I'd fill it up with, we get a bag of milk every day for breakfast. And I would bring the bag back of this milk and I'd pour it in this peanut butter jar that's empty. And then I'd slice bananas, because Mondays and Wednesdays we get bananas from the chow hall. And I'd slice them up. And then at commissary, you get to buy 7 protein shakes a week. That's it, one a day. And I'd buy this protein shake and I'd pour it in this milk, slice bananas, drizzle some peanut butter, I'd shake it up. And I put it on ice, and we don't have refrigeration, so you put everything on ice. And I put it in a mop bucket, because that's our refrigerator.
A mop bucket.
A mop bucket. And I put this protein shake buried in that mop bucket. And one day my cellie goes, hey, we got a problem. The ice machine's out of ice. It's broken. And we had like 2 inches of ice. I go, fuck, what are we going to do? He's like, dude, don't worry. We'll put some salt. He says, put some salt. It'll crackle. It'll get nice and cold. By the time you get back from your workout, you'll never even know that we ran out of ice. I come back, and literally I'm like, grab my shake, and it's rock hard. I'm like, fuck, man. Dude, you told me it was going to be cold. He's like, fuck, just eat it, man. Who cares? He's like, take a spoon. I'm like, dude, it's like fucking ice cream. I said, wait a minute, it's like protein ice cream. He says, you're onto something. And he knew I was a hustler. I was like, dude, I'm going to sell this. Like, there's nobody in prison that sells ice cream, right? And then everyone in prison works out, right? So now I'm selling something that has protein in it. And they're like, you're not going to sell it. I said, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell it for $15 a peanut butter jar. And everyone looked at me like I was crazy. I go to my workout.
Oh, for anybody who was complaining about where you are, like, you're not where you are because you need more resources. You're not using the resources you have already to the best of your ability. Tap in. Listen to what this nigga's saying, bro. $1 million enterprise right here, created in a cell block.
Crew, and I made 7 that day, and I just gave everyone one. They're like, dude, this is going to sell. So that became my hustle. I remember the next day I made 14. The next day I did 21, and I'm selling for $15 a peanut butter jar. Now, guess what? I'm like, fuck. How big can we take this, right? Now I'm using everybody on my cell block making ice cream for me. They're literally just making this shit. And I'm Super Bowl Sunday, I made 50 ice cream at $15 a jar. I made more money than the correctional officer working the unit that day. I get out of prison. What do? I go to my Rolodex, and I remember I had a friend named Roland. He was a gambling client of mine. He was this Russian Jew from Miami. And I was like, dude, I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna tell him I'm out of prison. Maybe he can help me. And I had this idea, since I was making the ice cream, I was doing some background checks and no one had a protein ice cream. And I knew Roland was a very successful entrepreneur. And I called him and he says, man, you're out, congratulations. What can I do? How can I help you? I said, Roland, you might think I'm crazy, but I said, I got an idea. I said, I got this footage of me making ice cream in prison. My buddy, this Ukrainian dude, used to film me making this ice cream in prison. And he told me he'd give me the content. I said, I'm making this prison in a mop bucket. I said, I've been